In your article, you also note that according to Bowlby, based on Freud's ideas, the fundamental anxiety in human life is fear of loss of love, or fears following from actual loss of the loved ones. Why and how are these fears activated in COVID-19 times?
Thank you. I mean, the question comes back to the very origins of attachment theory. The trilogy that Bowlby came up with that we have on our shelves, attachment, separation, loss. It was his brilliant idea to extract from Freudian theory, which is 26 volumes, as we know, immense. Bowlby would say that he follows Freud to about 1900, but not much beyond. Of course, we know that up until the interpretation of Dream Book, Freud was understanding the clinical difficulties of his patients in terms of overwhelming negative feelings, anxiety and fear that they had encountered, typically in early childhood. These it was not possible to express them in an organized way with caregivers, so those feelings were suppressed, locked away. But according to Freud's early thinking, they need to find their way out in the course of development. Well, Bowlby thought that was a good account of how people function in anxiety-provoking situations when the attachment system is activated. And he dipped into Inhibition, Symptoms, and Anxieties, Freud's book, where Freud talks about all kinds of anxieties, including annihilation anxiety, castration anxiety, and, as you comment, anxiety over loss of loved ones, or fear of loss of loved ones, anxiety over separation. And it's those three, separation anxiety, fear of loss of love, and the fears and disrupted behavior and emotions we feel after a sudden loss of a loved one. Bowlby said, that's it. That's what we have to focus on. And if we can help people arrive at organized thinking and feeling around separation and loss, fears of separation and loss, we can help them cope. We can help them become the adaptive human beings that they aim to be. So that's the relevance of those fears and anxieties, relevance to attachment theory, and the relevance to the present moment of COVID-19 when we see tragic circumstances. The news today is that over 200,000 people around the globe, 50,000 in the United States, 20,000 in the UK, people who have died on account of this virus. And we know that the circumstances in which people are dying are in isolation and alone. The family members are not there to hold their hand or to share last words. And so there is this sudden, painful separation, final separation for so many people around the globe. And from the attachment theory perspective, we're very sensitized to this. And we know that this is precisely the kind of loss experience that is likely to lead to disorganization and disorientation. What Bowlby said is the typical response to loss, but in the fullness of time, people find their way and begin to focus on living loved family members and friends, as opposed to being totally absorbed in the painful feelings of loss about a family member who has died. Attachment theory and clinicians and researchers working with the model have a reliable kind of resource to turn to help people in these quite challenging and tragic times. I'll say one other thing. I know you're a psychoanalyst. Psychoanalysis, the defining feature of it is that we're influenced by things we can't see, things that are unconscious, preconscious, deeply unconscious. So the COVID-19 virus is, of course, invisible. And therefore, I think psychoanalysts, particularly attachment-informed ones, have a special role to play in helping individuals, families, and the wider society making sense of this moment.